All right, so we're diving deep into some biblical prophecies, end times stuff. We're looking at end times, what the Bible says and how it relates to today.
Okay.
And we're going to unpack how people see these prophecies and how they connect to what's going on in the world today.
Right.
I mean, it's interesting stuff, right?
It is. Yeah. It's a little unnerving too sometimes, I think.
Yeah, a little bit. But we're not like predicting the future here.
Right, of course.
No crystal ball.
Right.
We're really trying to understand what the Bible actually says about this and how people interpret these messages.
Right.
And why these old ideas, why they still, resonate.
Well, they do seem to have this kind of staying power, don't they?
They do. Yeah, they really do.
It's fascinating how these prophecies can feel so relevant to, our anxieties today.
Yeah, like they speak to, what we're going through right now in a way.
Yeah.
So where should we start?
Well, I think Matthew 24 is always a good place to begin.
Okay. Yeah. Matthew 24.
Where Jesus is laying out these signs of the end times.
Right. Yeah. Wars and famines and earthquakes, that kind of thing.
Right. And deception too, like widespread deception that he talks about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's that specific line, right? Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. And it's hard not to think about, what we see happening around the world today with all the conflict and tension. It's kind of eerie.
And, the source also points out that it's not just like traditional warfare that fits in. Like you've got these pandemics, these huge wildfires, you've got intense social and political division.
Yeah.
All of that adds to this feeling of unease. It's almost like Matthew 24 predicted a world struggling with like climate change and all this division.
Yeah. Like it foresaw it somehow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, are we reading too much into it?
Well, that's always the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's certainly, thought-provoking how these things seem to line up.
They do, yeah. Makes you think. And then there's that other passage, 2 Timothy, right?
Yes. 2 Timothy 3.
Talking about, like, perilous time.
Yeah, perilous times. And it describes how people will be.
Like lovers of themselves and lovers of money. Boastful, proud, ungrateful, unholy. It's like a pretty harsh picture of human nature, right?
It's not a very flattering picture, is it?
No. And I feel like we've all seen these kinds of behaviors online or even in our everyday lives.
Right. I mean, you can't help but see some of that reflected, in our world today.
Yeah. So is this like a timeless thing? Like, are these just human flaws that are just amplified now because of, I don't know, social media or whatever?
It's a good question. Is it just human nature, or is there something unique about our times that's bringing this out?
Yeah. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about a figure that, is always surrounded by a lot of debate, the beast.
Ah, yes, the beast from the book of Revelation.
Right. This symbol of controlling forces. It's fascinated people for centuries, and it's really interesting to see how interpretations have changed over time.
Yeah, it is. And it's a really good example of how our own context shapes how we understand these things.
Mm-hmm. So how has it changed? I mean, how did people used to see it?
Well, in the past, the beast was often seen as representing a specific ruler.
Like an emperor or something.
Exactly. Like the Roman emperors, for example.
Right, who were persecuting the early Christians.
Exactly. So it was very much a literal interpretation.
Okay. But now it seems like people are connecting the beast to something bigger, something more like systems of control.
Yes, that's right.
Rather than like one individual person.
It's less about a single, powerful figure and more about these more abstract forces.
So instead of like a literal emperor, it's like digital surveillance or AI that could manipulate us. Or maybe even the power of some corporations, Right,
exactly. Like those old fears have been updated, for our technological age.
Yeah, like they've taken on new forms.
Yeah.
But the fear is kind of the same, right?
It seems like it.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if we just project our own anxieties onto these texts.
We probably do.
But we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that the Bible doesn't give us a clear timeline for the end times, right?
Right. It's not like a schedule or anything.
Yeah.
It's more about, being aware of the signs and being spiritually prepared.
And I think that's an important point because, amidst all these prophecies about challenging times, there's also a very strong message of hope and resilience in the Bible.
Yeah, there is. It's not all doom and gloom.
Absolutely not. There's that wonderful line from John 16:33. In this world you will have trouble, But take heart, I have overcome the world.
It's a powerful message. It kind of transcends religion even.
I think so too. It's a message that can offer strength and hope to anyone who's facing difficult times, regardless of their beliefs. Whether it's a personal struggle, a global crisis, or just the uncertainty of the future.
So it's not just about predicting when the world is going to end. It's about how to live in the face of that uncertainty.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the Bible speaks about, hard times coming, but it also emphasizes preparing ourselves spiritually.
Right.
And living a life of purpose, no matter what happens,
Right. And that makes me wonder, for you listening, does learning about these prophecies, whether you take them literally or not, does it change how you see what's happening in the world right now?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Does it change how you approach the challenges we all face?
Yeah, like individually and as a society.
What do you think about how these ancient texts connect to our modern world? How do they speak to you?
It's something to think about, for sure.
It is.
And maybe this deep dive has sparked even more questions for you.
Right.
And that's a good thing.
It is.
Because it means you're engaging with these ideas, with these texts. And that's what it's all about.
It is. These are texts that have resonated for centuries, and they continue to invite us to think deeply about life and our place in the world.
Yeah. So keep thinking about it.